Previously on Elysia Rising.
Care to tell us why you've brought me here with her?
The days of Elysia itself are numbered. I think it might be wise to focus our energies, put our differences behind us.
I thought you were an intelligent man, Algernon. You must be off your rocker.
Do not let them sway you from justice, he says, and he goes to bring the pistol back round to Avaladir's head.
Yeah, I'm gonna tackle him.
Would we so quickly fall to bloodshed? And as he pulls the trigger, one of the civilians jumps at him and is shot in the chest.
We would need to send a message and complete the eradication of the faith.
One last thing, Grovekeeper.
Yes?
Sometimes it's part of a life cycle of a place to be burnt to the ground so it can rise up, seeds can be planted.
To allow it to rise from the ashes. You would have us destroy the shrine.
Let's do it. There you go.
As you glance over your shoulder, the watch don't pursue you as they stop to try and tackle the inferno of the shrine as it is engulfed in flame.
Welcome to Elysia, the jewel of the north. On our gilded streets, fortune and fame can be found by anyone.
Hi, I'm Julia, and I'm playing Magpie, an ace of our lurk.
Hi, I'm Nate, and I'm playing Cavern, a dragon-scent slide.
Hi, I'm Meg. I'm playing Frida, a wolfkin cutter.
Hi, I'm JC, and I'll be playing Algernon, an Asavar spider.
Hello, I'm Errol. I am playing Atta, a goblin whisperer.
And my name is DM Dan. I will be the games master on this adventure.
So come on in and marvel at our wonders. Make sure you see the beautiful views we have to offer, and don't mind the ghosts. They're friendly, really. Grab yourselves a seat and make yourselves welcome in the city of Elysia.
Hello, and welcome back to Explorers of Elsewhere's Elysia Rising campaign. Hi, I'm DM Dan, and I'm followed into battle by these 5 dutiful soldiers. We find the crew in the midst of a montage of scores as they try to convince the warring factions of the Marionettes and the Kindling to put down their weapons for long enough that they can fight alongside this crew rather than over them, across them, between them, through them. It's going quite well so far. Let's see if your luck holds out. Luck? What am I saying? Your skill. Let's see if your skill and tactful decisions hold out.
Look, we convinced a religious order to let us burn their holy place. I think we've got this on lock.
Yeah, maybe. So, having successfully acquired the Veren seed from the Blossoming Shrine and then burning it down, Songbird and Velca are looking at you, and there's an air of assured, like they seem more assured by your actions, although they're still quite angry in general. And Songbird looks to you and, well, we might have the seed, but I'd be loath to send my people into a fight like this without leading them from the front, and I can't step 2 steps out of the door without getting caught by those pricks over at the EIC. I'm not in a position to help you unless whatever they have on me is gone and whatever leads they have are scattered. And I expect that all of those leads are going to be held locked up tight somewhere in Trito Hall. Velca looks to you and,
I, for one, care not if they know of my coming. But there is one thing that troubles me. Ever since the destruction of the Ruby Keep, the Black Guard have been acting curiously. Originally, they loitered around the ruins of the keep like vultures, but they have since disappeared. I would like to know where they've gone, because they are a faction I would not appreciate being surprised by. I suspect the EIC will also know of the location of the city's greatest defenders.
And as the five of you look to one another with these two new obstacles to your path, who's jumping into the Trito Hall score? Who's flashing back to the Trito Hall score?
Absolutely, Algernon.
Absolutely, Algernon. Okay.
I feel like Magpie would be pretty up for this because this is an infiltration and stealth job, basically.
Absolutely,
Algernon knows the place, presumably, and Magpie's got some sneaky skills to add.
Magnificently, Magpie. Anyone else? Or is this a twofer? Does anyone else want to break into Elysia MI5?
I've got some prowl on me, so I'd like to.
Ooh, okay. Okay. Atta, Frida, you let them... Are you sit...
Not sure what I can contribute, but again, I can be waiting in the wings just in case things get hairy.
I've got an idea possibly for Atta. Is there any way, because I'm guessing Velca is kind of saying like the information on the Blackguard is going to be in where are we going again, sorry, Dan?
Trito Hall.
Trito Hall. For our Tritos.
Have a Trito.
I'm wondering if as a backup in case we can't find anything on the Blackguard, whether or not Atta can construct something with the glasses that may be able to detect other elements that are doing the same thing.
Like trying to tune to, like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I suppose that's a lab-based thing, trying to...
Okay, in which case, so between Magpie, Algernon, and Cavern, how are you starting this score? Like, what is your point of entry? So your objectives for Songbird and Velca are to locate the evidence and investigate the Blackguard.
I'd like to lean on my old friend and colleague Bertrand.
Okay. Very good, very good. Bertrand, who is on your allies list. Okay, so that's an extra dice. Are you... How are you using him to start this mini score?
I'm going to pop up and see if he's happy to see me alive.
Okay.
And then if he's not, I'm going to blackmail him.
Okay. We will kick things off straight away then. Because you're using Bertrand, who's an ally, that's a 2 dice. 1 extra. And we roll a... failure.
It's a bad roll.
Okay. In which case, Algernon, the moment you sit down with Bertrand, there's something that twigs in your mind that something is wrong. Bertrand is looking at you with, like, wide eyes, as if he's desperately trying to tell you something.
Oh dear, Bertrand. You haven't forgotten the lyrics to the boating song, have you?
Bertrand looks to you and... Perhaps we should reconvene another time, Algernon. Now's really not a great time. And as he says that, Algernon, over like his shoulder, you notice that there are a number of... you recognise a number of EIC agents descending on your location.
Oh, not this again. Except...
And Bertrand's got this like sorry look on his an apologetic look on his face. But yeah, as you see the EIC agents approaching, what are you doing? What is Cavern doing? What is Magpie doing to kick off?
Yeah, where is this meeting taking place, JC? Were you envisaging it being at the EIC building? Like you've requested a meeting there or somewhere?
Yeah,
else?
nearabouts.
Yeah.
In Abbotsgate. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I mean, yep. Algernon is there. Well, Magpie and Cavern, you would have seen from a way off. If you're nearby, you'd have seen these agents beginning to converge on Algernon. I guess if nothing else, if they're here chasing Algernon, they're not in Pt2 Tower.
That's true. I guess it slightly depends on what Algernon was planning to use Bertrand for, giving us an excuse to be there or something. But if there is already a bit of a distraction going on, maybe we could sneak in via a sort of a vulnerable point that Algernon has already indicated to us.
Yeah, I think my original plan was to get him to take us to the documents, but then there's definitely a plan B because I've been arrested by them already. So I'm if the ghost hits up, then we'll cause a distraction and you can sneak in yourself.
Yeah.
So
if nothing else, you suspect that Virtue might still be able to answer the mystery of the Blackguard, if nothing else.
Exciting. Okay.
So, yeah, Cavern Magpie, how are you going about collecting the evidence?
Prowl?
Prowl.
We're going to prowl.
I would like to mention, though, that I'm in disguise.
Oh!
I'm going in disguise.
Okay.
Yes.
I've actually borrowed some of Algernon's clothes. So I've got a nice suit and a jacket. So I've tried my best to look like an EIC agent.
Yeah.
Scalganon.
I may have even used some sort of theatrical makeup to sort of cover to kind of change the colour of my scales.
Okay. Okay. Very, very good. So yeah, you'll get a +1 dice roll to confuse or deflect suspicion. Well, between the two of you then, who's spearheading the infiltration of Trito Hall? Who's going in first?
You'd like me to go in first and then I can...
If you're in a beautiful disguise, then why not? So we're prowling, but you're disguised in case we get caught. Lovely.
Okay, so whilst the action seems to be honing in on Algernon, I'm going to start you, Cavern, on a risky standard. So risky standard prowl, and you get +1 dice as you're trying to schmooze in with your disguise. So you can switch to a desperate greater to begin with if you like.
No, I think I'm going to play it safe for now.
Okay.
I'm going to go for a risky standard with a +1 dice.
Okay.
I did it.
You did it. Okay, so Cavern, you managed to flawlessly just slink into the hall. As you go in, there are a number of agents kind of passing you, and you hear them sort of saying to each other, Cadwallader has been sighted. Converge on this location, and you see them sort of rushing out to seemingly catch Algernon. And as you glance over your shoulder, you wonder if Algernon's going to be okay. You've made it in, and you're able to sort of hold the way open for Magpie as well. So between the two of you, as the two of you make your way into Trito Hall, Algernon. Bertrand looks to you and, I'm really sorry, old boy. They've been watching me like hawks.
Don't worry, Bertrand. I understand a man's duty. I actually come bearing a gift if your colleagues would be so kind to entertain me. And I'm going to produce something from my loadout, an unusual weapon.
Yes.
Which is a strange and bloody scythe in the style of the orchestra.
Okay.
Perhaps you old boys would be interested in this. A weapon which was used to slay one of your dear colleagues not a few days ago.
Okay. What skill are you using off the back of this? How are you envisaging using this? Like, are you taking him hostage, or you had to get over his evidence, or?
No, I'm being like, I've done some of your job for you.
Oh, okay.
It's not a threat. I'm just saying, like, look, I know about the death of your colleague, which I'm sure you'd like to investigate.
Okay.
So I'd like to consort.
Okay, yeah, by all means. You are in a desperate situation, unfortunately, as they all bear down on you. But we'll start on a desperate standard.
I'll take it.
Devil's Bargain. They're really handy for this. Devil's Bargain. The EIC are joined by the Watch.
No, I'm done. I'm done with them for now.
Okay, so do you want to push yourself?
Oh dear.
Or does Atta or Frida want to step in to help?
I'm happy to, but I'm not sure how.
I don't know whether the EIC will fall for the same trick again. But it's worth trying. Yeah, Atta can help and try and kind of do some radio scramble, like, well, they're looking for Songbird, right? Again, let's impersonate a songbird over their communications, or impersonate another agent.
In which case, Atta, mark yourself a stress, and Algernon, you get a free dice or effect.
Well, I think I'll go with the dice.
Okay. So one extra dice, greater, desperate, standard, consort. A 6. You do it.
Oh.
So, as you produce this, like, sickle, like, Bertrand recoils from it, and then as you kind of very quickly explain what it is, like why you're holding this, you see Bertrand sort of looking down at it, looking at you, and then he sort of like flaps his hands out to the others. Stop! And you see like a number of the plainclothes agents begin to sort of like slow as they kind of get closer. You know that you've bought yourself a little bit of time to talk with Bertrand. I'm going to generously attribute that to the investigate the Blackguard clock. And Bertrand looks to you and, this better be bloody good, Algernon, he says. We'll switch back quickly to Magpie and Cavern. You have made your way into Trito Hall. Like, you're doing your best to not draw suspicion by not really looking at anyone, like walking with enough confidence that it seems like you're supposed to be there. But how are you going about finding the evidence that the EIC have on Songbird?
So, it logically it would probably be something like a study, right? To sort of look through papers and the like, but do we want to do it sneakily with a prowl so people don't notice we're rifling through drawers and stuff? Or could I argue for a finesse to sort of dexterously and just sort of not disturb the piles of paper lying around too much, just kind of try and attempt to locate Songbird's file?
So finesse is subtle misdirection. So I am happy for you to
bit
call
of sleight of hand kind of thing. Yeah. Trying to lift the file. Maybe we already sort of knew where to look for it. I don't know. I can argue for that, but can I argue for a finesse?
You
please?
can absolutely argue for a finesse.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna take 2 stress to add a die to that.
I was gonna say, do you want me to help?
You can help if you wanna.
I can help.
Yeah.
I can be sort of, if I see anyone sort of walking past, I sort of just start like a nice polite conversation with them.
Okay.
Just kind of like,
So I get...
did you enjoy lunch? Enjoy lunch?
2 dice.
You go into the pub later. Go in the pub later.
Can I?
So it's a risky standard to start, Magpie. With your 2 in finesse.
Plus my pushing myself and getting help from Cavern.
So extra dice or extra effects. You can switch this to a Desperate Greater to start with if you like.
I could, couldn't I? But I'm really worried I'm going to roll 4 dice and get a 6.
Only need 1 more XP to fill up your prowess bar, just saying.
Just saying. Oh my god. I don't like it, but okay.
Yeah, Desperate Finesse. Okay.
Desperate Great Finesse.
Yeah, with 2 extra
4
dice.
4 dice total.
Yeah, so 2 extra.
I'm so scared.
A partial success.
Absolutely beefed it.
A partial success. You do it, but there's a consequence. You...
Get a really bad paper cut.
Yeah, right.
You know what?
Get chased out by an angry EIC agent.
Given that you've got Cavern running interference for you, I will simply say it's reduced effect, which on a great out roll is still 2 dice, 2 segments.
Woo. Got it.
Cavern, you have to put in work. To kind of deflect all of this attention away from Magpie. But Magpie, very quickly paint me a picture of where you imagine this information is being kept.
I think it's probably... I notice it out on a desk that has an agent sitting at it. And so I sort of make eyes at Cavern like, it's right here, kind of thing. And then sort of indicate that Cavern needs to perhaps flirt with the agent or something. But while I sort of slide past and just sort of lift it and put it under my shirt or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll schmooze with the secretary that's close by. The admin staff.
Sure. In which case, through the combination of misdirection and schmoozing, Magpie, you're able to just sort of like slide this folder off the table. You recognise Songbird's mugshot from the front page of the treatise. And interestingly, the name on the front of the folder reads Melina Karan.
Lovely.
But yeah, you have successfully collected the evidence, and you can keep or destroy it at your. Well, you can choose. Meanwhile, outside, Algernon, you're like in the middle of this street in Abbotsgate. From Vertran's in front of you, sort of like holding off the approaching EIC agents. You are currently holding a sickle that looks suspiciously like the orchestra's weapon of choice. What are you doing?
I drop it on the ground.
Okay.
If you all can put Spymaster Authorion's vendetta against me aside for a second, I can tell you everything I know about the monster which killed your colleague. Of course, I'll be looking for a few bits of information in exchange.
Vertrand nods. What is it? Like, what do you need, Algernon?
I'd like to know about everything you've gathered, every piece of intelligence about our friends with the goggles.
Vertrand looks to you with a, not that. Like, he really kind of grimaces at the thought of having to talk about them. But then he sort of like holds his hands out and like both hands out to hold back the EIC agents. Well, what ability are you rolling? Are you doing a consort?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, but we'll still keep you on Desperate Greater, so that's another for you, if nothing else. Sorry, Desperate Standard, I should say, to begin with.
Okay, I'd like to push myself for greater effect.
Yes.
And whilst I do that, I'd like to say, and what about our other friend with the goggles?
By that, do you mean Velca?
The Infinite.
So, that is a 2 dice Desperate Great Consort.
Oh, there we go. Look at that.
Oh my god, Algernon's dice coming through finally.
Yeah.
So, you notice that the way he's talking to you is quite performative. Like he's pretending he's not telling you what he's telling you. But as he looks around, and then he sort of like starts like jabbing a finger in your face and like scrunching his face up in a snarl. You should know, Algernon, that like overnight they all just vanished. They were all around the keep and now they're just gone, and we have no idea where they've gone to. They're like spectres. They just disappeared. And when it comes to the Infinite, we're trying to flush him out, but we don't know where he is either. They've found Songbird, they've ID'd her, and they're trying to lock her down. Whatever you're planning, Algernon, you best make it quick, because things are getting desperate.
You're telling me?
And then he sort of like walks up to you off the back of a 6. I mean, you absolutely blow through this remaining clock. And Algernon, you, out the corner of your eye, you spot Magpie and a dragon synth that does not look like Cavern, but is wearing one of your coats, like slip out of Trito Hall, and Vertran like grabs you by the collar and pulls you in, and then says, "Hit me, Algernon!"
Algernon summons a memory from his days in Morton College for Boys, the passion of a teenage rivalry on the cricket field, and I give him a good slap.
Okay. And you watch, like, as your hand connects with Vertran's face, he throws himself back, knocking over the table that the two of you were just sat at, and sprawls out across the table, sprawls out across the floor, and like you see the other EIC agents that have paused and just sort of like stop for a moment, and then Vertran looks at you and says, "Run!" And like as the EIC agents kind of break into a run towards you, you see Vertran sort of like get up and then do his very best to fundamentally like klutz his way in front of them all in an attempt to try and stop you himself. And he's just like bumping into them, like knocks a chair over to trip one of them up, giving you more than enough of distraction to slip into a nearby alleyway and escape.
Jolly boating weather, old boy.
You see, like, Vertran doesn't get to repeat it because he's currently too busy doing a slapstick routine to hold up all of the secret agents. Back in the present, Songbird has shrugged her shoulders and thrown her hands up. She can't help. Velca can't help. But what do the five of you have to say on that?
I don't think we say much. I think Magpie just reaches down and throws the file in front of Songbird with her mugshot and her real name slathered across it, and said, "Hope that sorts it all out for you, Melina, was it?"
Songbird looks to you with the most unimpressed look she's ever flashed you. And then she snatches up the file and just sort of like tucks it behind her, on the chair. Just forget you ever read that, all right, Amina?
It's Magpie.
It's Songbird. And then she sort of like looks down. She's got a face like a slapped child. And Velca is looking at the five of you expectantly.
"I'm beginning to expect great things from you,"
he says. Who's reporting to Velca?
Yes, on the matter of the Blackguard, I suppose you're jealous of their eyewear.
Velca looks away slightly for a moment, as if bashful. And then you notice him look directly at Songbird, and there's this intense kind of stare from behind the mask, you notice.
"Yes. Well, I have become accustomed to a certain set of eye equipment."
There's an awkward silence as they mull for a moment, and then Songbird breaks the silence by saying, I don't like going into a situation without information, and my best spy has gone AWOL. I hear that you've become somewhat acquainted with him, Catherine, she says, and throws you a bit of a look. But I don't feel comfortable doing anything without knowing where Vorntham is. The last I heard, he was over at the Shooting Stars brothel. He was up there, lying low there, because it's one of the Ilnashi strongholds. But I hadn't heard hair nor hide from him since all this shit went down. So you find out what's happened to Vorntham, and then maybe we can talk. And Velca looks to you and says,
The Ilnashi, occultist fanatics at best. And I would like to see nothing but their removal from the Elysian stage.
And he turns to look at Songbird.
I would have you blunt their blade, so I know that they will not stab me in the back at a moment's notice.
So, it would see who is jumping in on the Shooting Stars brothel score to find Vorntham and or blunt the Ilnashi blade.
No, I don't think I will.
Catherine!
Oh,
he doesn't ask for much, does he, this Velca? Just like, burn the shrine and get rid of the Ilnashi. Ruthless.
Is Frida jumping in on this one? Sounds like there's going to be a scrap.
Why not? Yeah,
Okay.
I'll be there. Catherine could be there to seduce him. Frida will be there to sock him.
Anyone else joining, or is it a twofer?
I might be able to help. Atta might be able to help with a bit of, especially with the Ilnashi, like, bit.
Spooky spooky to freak out the Ilnashi.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. In which case, what is your point of access? What is your point of entry for the Shooting Star brothel school? As you have to...
Catherine's got VIP membership, surely.
Old stamp card.
Well, absolutely. If you two, like, if three of you fundamentally want to walk through the front door off the back of Catherine's intimate relations, we can use that as our access point.
Yeah. Could I bring my ally Amber with me?
Amber, yeah, absolutely. Amber can come with you. In which case, unless anyone else has anything else to add, that sounds like a 2-dice engagement roll.
Woohoo!
So, as we descend into the debaucherous streets of Cellar Street, we roll a 4 for a risky position. And as the four of you, so Atafrida, Catherine, and Amber, as you approach, you see the 2 Ilnashi bouncers at the front of this brothel. They notice you approach, and like one of them whispers something to the other, and the second slips inside the building. And then the Ilnashi stands in front of you and... Not today. Closed for business.
Oh, are you sure? Not even just a spare room?
As you say that, the Ilnashi forcefully puts a hand on your chest and pushes you back a foot. We're closed, friend, he says. Who's kicking this off? 'Cause it seems like they're not letting you in.
Frida is going to say, oh, funny that, because I can see your door wide open right now.
Yes. Yes.
And
Go punch him.
And since that door's wide open, I think that, you must be open for business and we've got coin, so you best let us in. Unless you want trouble.
What ability are you using and which clock are you ticking off?
Command. I am commanding, and I assume it's locate Vorntham because we're trying to enter the Shooting Star, right?
Yeah. Okay. So in which case you're starting on a risky standard command.
Cool. Can I please use my scary weapon of tool to grant increased effect when I intimidate.
Are you pulling out the
get...
blood letters?
No, so I've got my knuckle dusters, so the trusty knuckle dusters. I'm just gonna, when I sort of like gesture towards the door, I'm gonna make sure that he can see the fact that I'm wearing them is, fully displayed. Okay.
Yes, you absolutely can. So that's an extra dice. Bear in mind, you can switch up to Desperate Greater to begin with, and also Devil's Bargain. Regardless of what happens, they decide violence is the answer.
Ooh. Oh, actually been able to do a real punch up yet, have I? So,
not for a while.
Not for a while. Yeah, why not? Let's do Devil's Bargain.
Okay, wonderful. In which case, that is so 2 extra effect. Are you going Desperate Greater to start?
I'm gonna go Desperate Greater and 2 extra dice.
Okay. So, Desperate Command, 2 extra dice, roll them bones.
Yeah.
A 6. Okay, so you do it. As you say that, and sort of like you flex the knuckles, and you kind of crack your knuckles. The Unashi sort of like looks at you for a moment and looks like he's about to back down when the door reopens and the second bouncer reemerges. As you're sort of like walking past the first, and we snap inside as that second bouncer is thrown backwards into the brothel, having tried to take a swing at you, Frida, and been met with a hearty parry uppercut, which has launched him into the establishment. And as there are sounds of screaming from the working people within the brothel as this bouncer is splayed out in the entrance corridor, but off the back of a desperate success, that is 3 segments on the locate Vorntham clock. And Cavern and Atta, you're able to just like follow in behind Frida, who's going into who's trying to tick off what clock? Who wants to go next? Atta, what's Atta doing?
Gently spacing out for a second, which is terrible. But probably like watching in slow-mo.
Because what I will say is, as the two of you sort of like walk in, just to your right is a little sort of like waiting room of sorts. And sat on this like 2-person couch, this low 2-person couch, who's like is a figure that's just looked up because the bouncer's just been knocked through the door. And you recognise it as the hooded Majani figure that was stood behind Songbird after you completed the prison break job.
Ooh. Is that my assassin?
And
cool.
Watching this bouncer get lamped out, this life fighter of sorts stands up and, "That was a mistake, friends," he says, as he raises his hands up, ready to fight. This would appear to be a blade that can be blunted.
I feel like maybe I'll compel a ghost to do some fisticuffs or something. I feel
make him pee himself.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've got a ghost fighter. I can restrain him afterwards. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Right, we're still in a risky standard. So risky standard of tune.
I want to figure out like what I want to kind of look deeply into their eyes and kind of really muster up the kind of ghost that they would be most afraid of. Like, is it a matronly, like, old crone figure? Is it a, like, so whatever I kind of see, if it's successful, it's going to be their, like, most hated
Sure.
ghost possible.
Okay. Well, as you... I guess you just do, like, now that you know the secret of the ghosts, you close your eyes and you think of a memory of someone that's passed. Please roll me an attune. So you have risky standard, so you can switch up to desperate greater if you like. Devil's Bargain, absolute bedlam ensues.
Why wouldn't I take that? I mean, okay.
Don't threaten Errol with a good time.
So yes, Devil's Bargain, yes please.
Okay.
So I'll take a dice, but I should take that down to 0 dice because I'm still soul drained, right?
That's a good shout. Yes, very
What?
good. Yeah, thank you for being honest. Yes, okay, so you're back to standard. By all means, if anyone wants to help or if you want to push.
I'm happy to push. I'll take the 2 stress and do it and push.
Okay, so
and
if
go
you're
up
going,
to
are you going desperate
dice.
great to start?
Oh,
I'm gonna hold my help action for now, but I just want to let you know that I've got bodyguard. So if you need to do a resist roll, I can sort of step in on your behalf and get the extra effect that way.
Sure, that sounds good.
I feel like just doing
You'll
desperate
level up
greater would be nice.
resolve.
Right, I know, right? I can, right? I'm gonna do it, and also in the interest of time, I'm not gonna think too hard about it. So I'm gonna roll, guys.
Okay, partial success. So you roll a 4. So you do it, but there's a consequence. So I'm going to say that you do it. So 3 segments of the blunt the Ornashi blade. As this assassin as this Ornashi individual walks towards you. Actually, no, you do know he's an assassin. As the assassin walks towards you, Atta, as you close your eyes and kind of think. Cavern and Frida, you watch as this ghost manifests in front of Atta. Atta, by all means, pick me out what this ghost is. Like, is it a Majani? Because arguably you might not know anyone that this Ornashi assassin would know, kind of thing. But
yeah, I feel
is it the shield bearer again?
Poor woman.
I feel like either my most terrifying memory of Songbird being disappointed aimed at him, since assassins probably pride themselves on their good work, and the idea of their boss not saying, I'm gonna come after you now, you better watch your back.
In which case, Cavern and Frida, you watch as bizarrely Songbird, the ghost of Songbird, materializes in front of Atta and then turns around and looks, turns to you, Atta, and as you sort of compel it, it turns to the Ornashi and launches herself at him, and this assassin just is bodied by this spirit and is kind of thrown backwards onto the sofa and begins wrestling with it. There's screams coming from all directions as this ghost sort of grabs the side of the Ornashi assassin's head and just starts and sort of trying to slurp soul out. Atta, as this ghost slorps face, the assassin, you watch as runes across his hands and forearms begin to glow, and then he somehow manages to grab the wrists of this ghost and stands up and with a twirl swings the ghost and launches her, the ghost of Songbird, through a wall, through a number of the rooms further into the building, and then you hear screams coming from all directions. So Cavern, you've just watched an Ornashi assassin throw a ghost through a wall. He's now free. There's screaming throughout the building. What are you doing?
Cavern turns to Amber and says, you'll be surprised that this is actually not the weirdest thing I've seen. So I'm gonna ask her if she can possibly direct me to the most secret place that she probably knows in the building.
Amber, who is utterly petrified, just sort of nods, and she kind of leads you through. Because she's so catatonically scared because there is a ghost in her immediate vicinity, which there wasn't before. I reckon maybe a sway, consort or something to convince her to play ball.
I will do a sway.
Okay.
I'll try and soothe her a bit.
I'm gonna increase this now to a desperate standard to begin with. because, ghost.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Do you want to... Do you want to bargain, or are you just rolling as is?
I'm just going to roll as is.
Okay.
I think.
3 dice, desperate standard. Okay, a 5. So even with a reduced outcome, that will get you across the line. So yeah, we'll say reduced effect. So you manage to, as you grab Amber and sort of like shake some sense into her, she, yes, and sort of like using you as a guide, like she's moving through this brothel, and like she has to stop because this ghost is just sort of like swooping through walls and like in front of you as it's kind of chasing people through the rooms. As Atta, you watch this thing and you're trying to like bring it back to the Oneshi. But Amber manages to take you to this sort of like private room towards the back of the building. It's locked. Like she tries the handle, it's locked, and then she sort of like looks to you as if to say, "Have you got any lockpicks?"
No.
And she tuts at you, rolls her eyes, and then takes a step back, grabs the bottom of the hem of her dress, lifts it up above her knees, and then bang! Boots the door at the handle and kicks the door clean open. And then she looks to you with a look, and then stomps in. Bound on the bed with a sack over his head is your red-scaled dragon scent. And it doesn't look like he's bound in the nice way. Like, she looks him up and down and, is that a snake tail? She says as she looks at Vorntham. But as you kind of pull the bits and bobs off him, you notice that he's also been like gagged under it, and this implies that he's not a guest in any way, shape, or form of the Oneshi, which worries you. And he, like, as you pull the gag from his mouth, Vorntham looks up to you and says,
"The Oneshi, they're working with the lodge. They've thrown the lot in with the lodge."
Oh dear.
Frida and Atta, you're near the front door. You've just watched Cavern kind of go off with this. You believe she's a friend of Cavern's of some sort. But yeah, this Oneshi assassin has just tossed away your ghost Atta, and he's bearing down on you. Frida, what do you do?
Yeah, I'm gonna step in, because I'm obviously not gonna let him get a punch in on Atta. That would be silly. So yeah, I'm gonna step in. What's the ghost doing? It's just running amok?
The ghost is basically doing like a Scooby-Doo sketch where it's just kind of going from like door to door across the hallway, but it like people are rushing past you in an attempt to flee out into the streets, but the ghost is just sort of like where it's, let's say, bedlam, so Atta, you're finding it difficult to sort of like reel it back in, but it's effectively just kind of chasing people. It's not managed to grab anyone yet. But yeah, it seems like this Oneshi assassin has a similar sort of like ghost fighting ability that you have.
Okay, cool. Well, the ghost is busy, so yeah, I'm gonna sort of stand in front of Atta and crack my knuckles again and say towards the assassin, "Seems like we've had this fight coming a long time."
And the assassin sort of like cracks his neck one way and, "Yes, we have," he says. Yeah, how are you resolving this?
Fighting.
Okay, I'll start you on a, whatever you choose, I'll start you on a desperate standard, because ghost. Are you skirmish?
Yeah, let's do skirmish. He's going bare knuckle, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
No funny business? Cool, alright, yeah, I'm a fair lady.
You know what? He's not. He brings his hands up, and there's a flick of the fingers, and two small dart-like knives slide out that he's holding reverse grip. Two curved blades.
Do you know what? Frida originally has her fists up, and she's like, oh. And then when he does that, She just looks disappointed at him. She goes, "You know what? If you're not going to fight fair, I don't have bloody time for this." And instead, she just whips up her coat and reaches for the bloodletting blade.
Okay.
I think mine's bigger, son.
You will get an immediate +1 dice as you have level 1 harm. So yeah, desperate standard to begin with. You're already up to 3 dice with a bonus 1 for being wounded.
Since it also empowers the wielder as they take damage, and since I've already quite damaged.
So that's the level 1 harm, give you an extra dice.
Oh, okay, cool. Right, so where am I at now? Skirmish.
So it's skirmish, desperate standard, +1 dice to begin with. You can push yourself for an extra dice or extra effect.
Oh.
Devil's
Push
bargain.
ourselves. Oh.
Actually, no, I won't say the devil's bargain. I rescind the devil's bargain unless you want one.
I do like a devil's bargain. I haven't expended my special armor yet.
Devil's bargain. The Oneshi will have you firmly in their target sights. You personally.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, they've had me firmly in their target sites all bloody campaign. They ain't done shit. Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna take that devil's bargain and I'm gonna expend my special armor for 2 extra dice instead of 1.
Okay,
It's
so
red
that takes you
rag
up to
to a DM. What you just said there.
3. So that is 3 additional dice, desperate standard. Unless you wanted to go 4 additional dice, desperate, great.
Fuck it. Should we make this the fight of my lives and push myself for desperate great?
Okay. If you want to push, push. So let's say
YOLO.
5. So 3 extra dice, desperate, great.
Great. Grand.
Fantastic.
Rolling it. Oh, partial success. It's a good job I did that.
Partial success. Okay. You do it. You. Well, describe to me what you do to this fellow.
Okay, so after I pull out the bloodletting blade, I'm assuming, based on his fighting stance, that this assassin's going to go high with his daggers. Therefore, I'm going to go low with the blade. I'm not so horrible that I'm going to, kill this dude, but I am going to, take a nice sweep at his ankles with it.
As you go low, predicting him going high, he moves with lightning speed by comparison. But you are horrified as you watch almost in slow motion as his high attack turns into a feint and he instead goes low, but not realizing that that's where you're going as well. And as you go for his lower half, as you connect, the bloodletter blade strikes him in the chest, between his ribs and through his heart. And the serious complication is that as he looks at you with a moment of confusion and then slumps off the blade to the floor, dead.
I mean,
You can resist if you like.
mission
Just be
accomplished.
gravely injured. But you only have 3 stress rests left.
I'm not going to resist.
Okay. In which case, as the Ilnashi assassin slumps to the ground, you look behind you and you see, Atta, you're able to kind of grab this ghost of Songbird and I assume discorporate her, just to banish her away.
Yeah.
Okay. In which case, Atta, as you see Frida emerge victorious, Cavern, Amber, and Vauntham come sort of crawling out from the background, and the 5 of you make off into the night, shielded, under the cover of the screaming patrons of this brothel. And we flick back to the present, as the door, as descending from the stairwell comes a very a limping, as much as a limping kind of serpentine movement can be. Vorntham descends down and, my apologies for my lateness, I was detained. And Songbird sort of like pinches the bridge of her nose. And Velca is once again looking at the five of you expectantly.
Can I assume that you have already dealt with the Ilnashi?
You're learning, old boy. I think there was one particular blade that my girl Frida tried to blunt. Isn't that right?
Frida just gives a nod and then downs the rest of whatever drinks in front of her at the time.
In which case, like Velca looks at you, Frida, and like your body language, given what's happened, tells him everything he needs to know. And he takes a breath.
Well, you have done well. All of my objections have been quelled.
And he looks across the table at Songbird, and she is fighting with something internally. But it just doesn't matter, does it? Because never in 1,000 years will I work with him, she says, looking back across the table. And Algernon, you realise that having, through all of your planning and kind of stripping everything away, there are no more obstacles, but there is now laid bare the core problem. Songbird versus Velca. I trusted him once, and he pissed it away. Never will I work with him again. And Velca slowly tilts ahead.
You would speak to me of betrayal.
And for a moment he also glances to you, Frida.
Too many times have I let someone in, allowed them to get close, shown them who I really am. But you, Melina, your betrayal stung the most.
And he looks to the five of you.
Do you know why I've launched this crusade against the vermin that inhabit this city?
And he slowly places the gauntleted fingers under his hood and lifts it back, revealing the pipework and coverings around the mask, connecting it to what appears to be an almost metallic, like a metal mesh head covering. Cavern, you notice like Songbird has like straightened in her seat and is starting to lean back, and there's a flicker of horror in her eyes, almost like she's scared of what's about to happen. And there are a number of as Velca begins like pulling out pipes connecting to his face apparatus. And as he pulls the front of his mask away from his face, you all shudder as you hear this ever so slight wet sound. And he turns to regard you.
Oof. He's a handsome boy.
And looking at you is a Majani man. His face scorched and burnt to almost nothingness. but the wounds still weep and are sore, and you can see bits of charred and sticky flesh attached to the inside of the mask. He looks at you with two eyes that have clearly stopped working as a result of his injuries. And it is clear that whatever flame enveloped this man was strong enough, hot enough, that it has charred the horn on his forehead to a stub.
This is what you made me,
he says, looking back to Songbird.
You did this to me. And this is why I would burn this city to the ground. Because it's what she did to me.
You notice that Songbird can't even look at him. There was a time when we meant a lot to each other. I would do anything for him, and I'm pretty confident that he'd do anything for me. And then, one day, she just turned up, tarting in like she had all the answers. The lady in purple, who just swans into a place and tells you that everything you know and love's just gonna die. Who does that? But she found it a joke. She thought it was funny. And then she was sick enough to tell us that we could stop it. The art of Elysia. She fucking told us who the heart of Elysia is. She told us that the magic's running out, that poor old Turia's running dry. And the only thing that we could do to solve it was to empower her. Give her more. Give her a bit more so she could keep the shield up. She could keep the veil up. As long as Turia was alive, we could keep the veil up. I would do anything for him, she says. And she catches her breath. And if that meant feeding Turia Valenmar, she stops and she glances for a moment at you, Algernon. If that meant feeding her every single Sanguivar in this city, then I would have done it to keep the shield up. I still would do it. Whatever it takes. Those are the words that I'll live and die by. Whatever it takes. And sure, you might lose the Sanguivar, but in that time we might find another solution. We might find another way. Sometimes it takes the strongest people to make the hardest choices. And by God, do I try to be the strongest person. Velca places his mask on the table.
And now I ask you, would you still love someone with such a callous heart? She didn't appreciate it when I refused her plan. She didn't appreciate it when I threatened to show the world her hypocrisy. And so, she did to me what she wants to do to all the Sanguivar in this city. She tried to kill me. You would have thought that a burning building and a bullet to the chest would have worked. But there was no way I was going to let her complete her plan. I would rather see the world burn than let her do that.
And he turns to you.
And now, you understand why there can be no peace for her or for me.
And as he stares stoically across the table, Songbird has now turned away from all of you, hiding her face. And you hear one solitary sniff. What are the five of you going to do to try and reconcile these two? Songbird, who would sacrifice the Sanguivar to save the city, and Velca, who would burn the city to the ground rather than allow it to live in such a way.
The city is already burning. The faith are gone. The watch undermined. It's chaos out there. And the Sanguivar, they're off the table. The heart of Elysia is still beating, and the Lodge reticent are going to rip it out so that they can escape and leave us all here to die. You've both got what you want. Now why don't we work together, let bygones be bygones, and save this city so that there's something worth rising from the ashes. I'm not asking you to be friends. None of us are asking you to be friends. But if we don't do something, there's not going to be a city to fight over. There's not going to be an us, a you, a them to fight over.
Does anyone else have anything they want to chip in? Because I think this sounds like the beginnings of a group sway.
Oh boy.
I know what it's like to have to swallow your own pride and work with enemies, even people that want to destroy you. I've been the target of assassination plots. I've seen people like me almost wiped from the face of the city. I understand that it's all part of someone's plan. Frida doesn't think she's as eloquent as I am, but I think you should listen to her, because my plan's almost running out. And the more heads we have to put together, the better.
What's Atta thinking?
Atta is kind of thinking how lucky these two are. Because they both have ideals that they would do anything for. And I think like Atta I think she has a coin in her pocket. I think she's going to take out like a coin. Hopefully she's got one in her pocket, and she's going to like place it on the table, but she's going to kind of place it on the edge, so not on one side or the other. And she's going to kind of look to both of them and kind of, there are always two sides to every coin, but they can't exist without each other. There's a way sometimes that you can flip a coin and it lands on its edge. Maybe we can find a way for both of you to not be pressed down by the other here for the sake of Elysia.
Avrin's gonna turn to Songbird. You say you were willing to sacrifice all the Sanguivar in hoping that it would give us a bit more time, but now you're kind of saying you're willing to sacrifice everyone for something that we would probably lose. The lady in purple obviously said her trickster mantras to drive the two of you apart. I think the best way to rub that smug look off her face is if you two work together, go completely against her plans.
You know, the problem with the rich and powerful, whether it's the Lodge or the Lady in Purple, is that the game is completely rigged, and they're at the top of it. And while they're setting all of us against each other down here, they're just swanning away with everything they wanted. We can't let them get away with it. Not anymore.
Songbird, you watch as she tenses up. And she takes a breath, and it's clear that she's fighting against what it is she's feeling right now. And then she turns to the five of you with this dismissive, like, look, as if she's looking at petulant children. And you see her, she's trying to mouth something to say that you're wrong. And then she stops and looks back to Velca, who's staring at her with his broken, burnt eyes. And as she goes to say something, the door to the back rooms of the Spectre open again. And this time, with heavy footsteps, a large looming figure in an armoured suit steps through as Tavarien enters into the room with you. I remember both of you from before. You were brilliant children of Elysia, and together what you had was beautiful. Look at how these five show our will to fight is still strong. And even on the precipice of annihilation, they will do what they can to cast evil aside. Surely, something that pure is something worth fighting for. And she looks to the five of you. Thank you for everything that you've done for this city. For me. After I died, I was trapped in an endless void with no interaction with anything or anyone. But now I stand amongst you. She looks to Songbird and Velca. You can emerge from your personal voids as well. And Tavarien is going to lead a group sway. So if everyone else would like to jump in on that.
You're not allowed to fail. It will kill Tavarien. You'll fail.
I've got 0 wins.
Yeah.
Can we push ourselves on this?
I've got one. I've got a
If
spray.
anyone would like to push, you absolutely can.
Okay.
I can't. I'll
Varian.
get trauma.
Don't get trauma, Errol.
Tavarian will roll 3 dice on her sway.
I will roll 2.
She rolls a 5.
Is that good?
If everyone else rolls on the group action, and then we take the highest result from the 5 of you, plus Tavarian.
4.
4.
Yeah.
Okay. We will. So it's a partial success. The 2 of them look down. I'm going to roll 2 fortune dice.
Whoa.
1 for Songbird and 1 for Velca.
Oh boy.
Everything that you've done to help them will fundamentally add 1 to the dice result of what I roll. And between the 5 of you, you have completed 4 tasks set out by these 2 each. So Songbird rolls a 10. And Velca rolls a 10.
He critted. Critical fortune.
Velca lets out a long, growling noise from his throat, and then picks his mask up and with a reattaches it to his headwear and pulls the hood back over. And you watch as the lenses, the orange lenses of his mask, flicker back to life. And he stands, looks at the 6 of you, including Tavarian, and then back to Songbird. And then offers a handout. And as Songbird's emotional bastion finally breaks, as she begins to openly weep, as all of the strain, the emotional turmoil she's kept bottled up all this time begins flooding out, she also stands and reaches a hand out. And as the 2 of them shake, the 5 of you notice what appears to be moisture dripping out the side of Velca's mask before it disperses across his leather cloak. And with that, we'll call it there. Congratulations, everyone, on completing episode 17.
Yay.
You did it.
Got a bit dicey for a minute there.
So, that is that. You've got the cobbles underfoot. You've got the marionettes and the kindling on one on each arm as you stride into the. Well, you have one final downtime to settle your accounts before the final score against the Lodge Reticent begins. Easy peasy.
Easy peasy.
If you enjoyed that, make sure to comment down below. And, what should we discuss in the comments today?
How we're gonna mess up the Lord Redson.
Yeah.
Yes.
Going after nothing.
Yes. Ideas of, like, give us screenplays of how the final score is going to play out. And to see if you were correct, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications of when releasing videos, because they're coming out super often. We are super close to the end of the campaign. I wouldn't want you to miss it. So, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you lot for playing. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.